So, that just happened. Let's get into it. How's it going, guys? So we open up the chapter with Ideo fighting some people from the Longleg tribe. Abdullah is there as well. And Oda recently actually confirmed in an SBS that the people from the Longleg tribe tend to put tattoos on them to sort of showcase them. It's kind of like a cultural thing. It's about pride. So you see the guy that's been knocked out by Ideo. He has like stars on his leg. I believe Smoothie has like a rose on hers. But yeah, it's kind of like a cultural thing. So this chapter is interesting for a lot of different reasons. Some of them are pretty cool. Some of them are kind of shocking, right? But like first and foremost, I think it's interesting because this is one of the few chapters that we've gotten that doesn't shift over to different locations. Like it literally just stays in the mirror world throughout its entire duration. So it's in the mirror world. It's just Luffy versus Katakuri. So we're really just focusing in on this fight here. Now the chapter opens up and basically Katakuri uses his awakening to stop Luffy from going Gear 4th. Now the moment I read this, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like how boss is Katakuri that he doesn't even let Luffy go Gear 4th. But then as I read the entire chapter and I went back to this scene, I noticed that there's just a strategic reason for why he doesn't want him to go Gear 4th. At this point, I think Katakuri is already afraid of something, and I'm going to tell you what that is later on. But in the meantime, he alludes to it in the page where he says, why should I just sit quiet and watch you do something that I know will make you stronger? It's actually kind of ironic too, because in that very same page, Katakuri says to Luffy, I have not underestimated you in the slightest. But then a couple of moments after, that's exactly what he ends up doing. So he brings down some of the mirror world walls that are on the ceiling just to crush Luffy. And I have to say that the way that the walls land on Luffy make it seem as if it's just a giant poop emoji made out of mochi. So figuratively speaking, it's kind of like Katakuri's awakening took a dump on Luffy. But anyway, after that, it's time for the merienda. And believe it or not, the merienda actually introduces a weakness for Katakuri just for even existing. Just for the merienda even happening, it introduces a weakness because it brings in something to the picture that wasn't there before. And that, my friends, is the introduction of the black tea that the chefs bring in, or the iced tea because it got cold because of the 40 minutes. So there's no reason to have black tea in this scenario unless it's going to be used against Katakuri. And by the way, in chapter 863, Jinbei already used tea against Katakuri. Maybe not tea itself, but he used water against Katakuri to free Luffy from his mochi ability. Now in this chapter, the way that Luffy gets out of the mochi is by eating it. But note how he says, I hate eating mochi. What's wrong with this place? Do I have to eat myself out of every fight? So this is Oda's way of saying to the reader, don't worry, I got you. I know he did the exact same thing against Cracker, and I'm not going to have Luffy do the same thing twice. I'm not going to use the same trick twice, so don't worry. It's just this one time that he used this eating ability to get out of it. So it's not going to happen again, because not only did Oda have Luffy state, I don't like eating mochi, but also it would just repeat the formula, and Oda is a lot more creative than that. So if he kept on eating this stuff, it would just like be the Cracker thing all over again. He would go into Tank Man and the whole thing. It would just take way too long, so he wouldn't be able to meet the deadline that he told Nami about when it comes to like reuniting with the rest of the Straw Hats at Cacao Island. Not only that, but Katakuri is a totally different type of fighter than Cracker is, so he requires a different approach. So he just runs off the fat. He uses observation Haki to detect Katakuri inside of the shrine, eating some donuts, which by the way, personally, I think Katakuri should have been able to detect Luffy outside, but whatever. He was just too busy enjoying his donut holes. So Luffy just goes in there with an elephant gun to bust the shrine open, and then... oh no! Oh, it's the attack of the One Piece quirky character trait! What happened to your face? I'm not gonna lie, the moment I saw that page of Katakuri scarfing down those donuts, I needed to step back. Because, it was expected because it's One Piece and, there's a quirkiness to these characters. And I knew there was a reason for why we hadn't seen his mouth. But boy, that was shocking. That was so shocking. But then after he closes his mouth, he looks actually pretty cool. He looks like a shark/vampire biker. And then he just goes full on Darth Vader against these chefs. He's like, you saw my face. No, please, no, no. Dun, 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 dun. Now here's the thing about that. Because one of the chefs, as he's pleading, he's like, please have mercy, my lord. He actually says, I wouldn't tell anybody even if my mouth were torn open. And then Katakuri gets kind of sensitive and touchy about that. So my question is, did that happen to Katakuri? Like, did somebody tear open his mouth and that's why he has stitches? I'm just kind of putting it out there as a thought because we definitely know that there's been a history of abuse concerning some of the children of the Charlotte family already. Anyway, Katakuri uses armament Haki, and then he activates this thing called Block Mochi. And this right here, this is the game changer, folks, because, so Block Mochi essentially, it's like mochi, but instead of it being, you know, gooey and malleable, it's a lot harder. It comes in like, you know, sort of squares and stuff. It seems like Katakuri is able to condense both his arms and his Haki in square form with the help of his Devil Fruit ability. It actually reminds me a little bit of Ideo's arms, who we just saw on the cover page. But the thing here is that this block Mochi is so hard, alright, that it's capable of not only bypassing Luffy's rubber properties, but bypassing his armament Haki. It literally leaves his armament Haki hands throbbing, okay? And by the way, don't be surprised if Luffy's Gear 5th looks something similar to this, if he picks that up and then incorporates that into his Gear 5th. That being said, Katakuri pretty much confirms something that a lot of us have been thinking about, have been speculating ever since Katakuri was introduced, when he said that he could pretty much see the future via his observation Haki, that he had trained his observation Haki so much that he could see future events before they happened. This pretty much confirms that there's another step, another level to armament Haki, just like there's another level to observation Haki as well. And that confirmation naturally creates another question for us fans, which is there another level to King's Conqueror's Haki as well? Alright, I happen to think that if there is such a thing, it probably has something to do with allowing the user to momentarily stop time. I wonder if Zoro knows about this other level of armament Haki. Hopefully he does. Now here's the thing about this, okay? Unfortunately, using Block Mochi, because it's so powerful, because it's literally armament Haki level plus, and this is not stated in the chapter, you just have to infer it based off what Luffy says, because Luffy figures something out, and I'm pretty sure I know what that is. So essentially, the Block Mochi, this type of armament Haki, is so strong that the user, or at least Katakuri, has to choose which type of Haki to prioritize. In other words, Katakuri cannot use the armament Haki level plus while simultaneously using his observation Haki level plus. He can't see the future while at the same time using this type of armament Haki. He has to choose where to focus his Haki energy. And that creates a huge opening for Luffy in this chapter, as you can see, because right after he uses the Block Mochi, Luffy lands a hit. And I'm reading this going like, oh no! If you pay attention and stay very quiet, you can slowly begin to hear the L train coming around the corner. Now, if you go back to chapter 863, there's definitely a clear example of Katakuri being able to use armament Haki and his observation future predicting ability at the same time. So he can do the armament plus the future observation thing, but he can't use this type of armament Haki alongside the future observation predicting ability. It's just way too much. So he has to pick which one to specialize in at that moment in time. And I think that's what he was afraid of when it came to Luffy going Gear 4th. And that's why he wanted to stop Gear 4th before it even happened. Because he knew that, think about it like this. Gear 4th Luffy triggers Katakuri's use of Block Mochi. And the use of Block Mochi exposes a weakness. So Katakuri wanted to end it before that even happened. And unfortunately for Katakuri, now it's just out there and Luffy has figured it out. And he's going to use that to his advantage. And that's not even taking into consideration the T that I talked about already. So it's going to be a problem. Again, that L train, it's unfortunate, but like I could tell, like from last week where Oda was saying, like had Katakuri state that I'm getting stressed out with your base dodging speed. I knew that was like a red flag last week. So this is like the natural progression of things. Now here's the thing, okay? Because I honestly, and this became apparent after I read this chapter, after I saw that Luffy landed a hit, I'm honestly completely torn. Because I want both of these characters to win. And I know it's not possible. And I want them to win because they're both so cool. Am I the only one who feels this way? I'm going to feel bad no matter who loses. Like that is set in stone after this chapter. That being said, Luffy goes Gear 4th. He lands a Kong gun. And because Oda is such a tease, we don't see the extent of the damage that the Kong gun does. I really wish we could have gotten an extra page just to see like how much damage that dealt to Katakuri, if at all. Because it seems like he's just blocking it with block mochi. It doesn't seem like Katakuri's about to be sent flying like what happened with Dofi back in Dressrosa. So, man, that block mochi is like some OP next level type of stuff. It's like, that's the extra thing that Luffy needs to work on. And again, definitely expect Luffy's next form, next mode, to look a lot thinner. It has to be more condensed to pack more power because of what Katakuri showed us in this chapter. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I thought this was a really, really good chapter of One Piece. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel, guys. Please. I'm trying to reach a goal of reaching 250,000 subs before the end of the year. So I would really appreciate it if you did that. Thanks a bunch. If not, you know, you do you. It's okay. But anyway, comment down below with your thoughts. Catch you guys later. Bye.